Well, are we expecting any
Please do.
Yeah, let's get
Okay,
it.
guys, I'm sorry. So, yeah, the only thing, let's see, where's our presentation? She's supposed to be online. Oh.
Or you can do in this case.
I am until Kira shows up.
And Kara will be here 10 to 15 minutes. I'm sorry, 15 to 20 Is minutes. Brittany on there?
Oh, wow.
Brittany's not here yet. Okay, so maybe we just start moving to, okay, some of this, do you wanna wait till Kara gets here to do your presentation? Or
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, it's up
If
to
you feel like she needs to be
Any
here to listen to it.
recommendations, if the person online,
And she can certainly listen to the video if she misses some of it, so it's up to you guys. I'm good either way.
Can't vote on anything, so.
Right.
Right.
but we can certainly listen.
You can ask questions, yes.
Cause unless somebody's in a great hurry to leave, I think the tree presentation would be nice.
Yeah, but she's
That
not
she's-
on, she's not on there either,
Oh,
so.
she's not on there either,
No.
okay. Oh,
I know, so.
then,
And I haven't received, any information.
then we'll go to the, Friends of the Sheridan Park, but let's
Oh,
get her.
Since you're the co-chair, right?
Yeah.
Let me know when you start so I can put record.
Okay. Okay, Parks and Rec Committee.
Recording in progress.
It is, February 15th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We're at the City Hall. Roll call, please.
Kira Sandoval,
She's running late.
Kay Buckles,
Here.
Wendell Cunningham,
He's excused absent.
Ernie Hebert.
Here.
Sarah Hilliard,
Excused absent.
Misha Myers,
Excused absent.
Nicole Hugh,
Here.
Okay.
I guess we still got the quorum, huh?
Yeah.
So for the record, we will not have quorum until Kira gets here, and so no decisions, formal decisions can be made, but we can have reports and presentations.
Okay, I'm going to public comment period. The public comment portion of the agenda is an opportunity for the Parks and Rec Committee to listen to the public, but not for dialogue. The commentators are allowed up to 3 minutes to present information relevant to this committee, not otherwise listed as an agenda item. Please note, complaints should first be addressed to the appropriate city department and/or city manager prior to directly addressing the Parks and Rec Committee. Any comments? Okay, in that case, we'll go to number D, presentation by Friends of the Sheridan Park nonprofit.
That's
Yes.
us.
Yes,
Should we wait for Heidi to come back or?
she's coming back.
Okay.
Can you please turn on the,
Turn it on?
Yeah.
Thank you. With this button?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. All right, let me lift this up a little bit. Okay, good evening, everyone.
good evening.
I wanted to start out with telling you that we have another fundraising opportunity in March for the bazaar. So we're working on getting some inventory ready for that. It's going to be jalapeno powder and then another jalapeno serrano combination to sell. So that is what we're working on right now at home. So much fun.
Is that the bazaar that's at the high school for the Christmas? Okay.
Yeah. The community garden itself, a couple people worked last weekend, finished filling up all the beds. There was some, the soil settled some in the beds, and we've got plenty of extra soil, so that was filled up. They started doing the irrigation diagram and made a list of all the parts and materials that they're going to need to set up the irrigation system. We're gonna try to get most of it from the Sheridan Building Supply, keep it local, whatever they can supply for us, we'll probably just do Lowe's or something. The following weekend, not this one, but the following weekend, they'll begin to start working on the garden shed, so we're hoping to have that set up, and that way we can start storing some of our tools. Any questions about the community garden? That's pretty much what's going on. Sure, go ahead.
So are the beds gonna be numbered when a person says, I'm interested, and they pay a donation? How do you tell them which bed to go to? Are they numbered?
Well, there is only, for example, right now, there's only one 4x8.
Okay.
But we probably will try to give them, it's a first come, first basis, they can come and pick out whichever one they want, really.
Okay.
There's,
I just wanna say, I have been thinking about not putting numbers on there. It'd be a lot easier for people to identify
Yes,
Yeah.
and sort out, so
and maybe even
to
their
your
name or
question, I
something,
think
you
that
know.
we will be probably adding numbers or some kind of information on the beds so that they'll know what bed they have and so forth, yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Not on the community garden, but I did wanna ask you a bit about hometown days.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
Okay, so last year you guys did the horseshoe tournament, right?
yes,
And you didn't get the turnout you were expecting.
correct.
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing you at the hometown days committee meeting in January.
We have one of our members, Gay
Oh, okay.
Pentecost is one of our members, and so she attends those.
So, I'm sure that she told you that hometown days is wanting to expand into Friday night kickoff at the park. It would be at the park, and I was wondering if that was something you guys were thinking about maybe doing the horseshoe tournament then, so that way there's no competing events.
That is definitely a possibility. We also wanna do cornhole, and we're gonna use the same real estate, so to speak, just using the middle for the cornhole competitions. So maybe, for example, we could do horseshoes on Friday night, cornhole the next day, or vice versa. Either way, I think we'll be able to take advantage of having that expanded time so that we can stretch out those events and not have them back to back like we did last year.
Well, and without there being anything downtown, that's a great time to drive people
Very,
in
very
and not
true.
split, so I was just making sure you guys were aware to take advantage of
Yes.
that, because
Yeah. Gay has already told us that there are certainly some options that we can consider for our events.
awesome.
And I'm sort of having in the back of my mind, maybe like a pie contest, where, I can get a few, maybe of you lined up and throw pies, or not throw pies, but just have a pie contest, see who can eat the pie the fastest. I'm kind of kicking that around, because that sounds like fun.
It does.
Yeah. Let's see, also, I think I mentioned last time that, we've always had, as part of our desire, I guess, as a nonprofit to have a dog park. That's been one of our dreams. So since that is beginning to become a reality, we would like to donate, what am I trying to say here? Here it is. No, I'm gonna say, where is it? Oh, just, a dispenser and the bags. So it'll be a weigh station that we would like to offer you guys for that location that we will go ahead and pay for. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
And whenever the time is right, we'll come with a few samples and see what you guys would prefer to have. Some actually have their own stands, others you can secure onto something. We'll probably be providing around 600 bags, so it should keep you guys going for a while. The other thing that we want to do is we want to do a flyer campaign, I guess you could say. So we have close to our new location a number of apartment buildings who don't really have a lot of backyard space for gardens, and also the RV park themselves, who we've heard a few people have asked about taking advantage of that. So we're gonna send out some flyers to those locations to see if we can pick up some interest, and we will also be posting them in all the businesses, City Hall, library and other places so that we can start getting some interest. And I just put together a sample. This has not been forwarded to my team yet. I provided it to them, but we haven't really made a decision on it yet. But I wanted to show you guys kind of an idea of what we might have for a handout for people. The one thing that we weren't sure about was the address. I think that, I don't know if we're gonna borrow the same address that the building is in right now, you know, or what, so.
If you want a new address, you have to see Yvonne, and there's a whole process,
Oh, okay, okay,
And
but she knows
if
how
I
to.
may say something about that.
yeah, go ahead.
I got there, I came sometime a few months earlier here to City Hall and I asked them about if they had the address, and they gave me an address, which I ended up
So that was probably,
recording, so that's the address we're using.
okay,
The address I got from here at City Hall. I just want to confirm and make sure it's the correct address.
yeah,
So I don't know if you guys have the exact address for that,
We
because,
could look up on the map there, I can't.
because when I use that
Okay.
address to,
We'll-
when I use that address to have the people that brought the soil from.
Yeah.
Back where it came from, Hebert or somewhere,
so that worked.
they put that address in their location, it took them to the other side
Oh,
of where the community garden is. So I don't know if that's correct.
Like the other side of the highway,
Yeah,
that happens with deliveries and that's the ice.
yeah, it was on the, yeah,
That's why we have like no
close to
semi
Forest
trucks.
River, place.
okay. So again, this is just a draft, but we would like to have that completed probably by next week and start doing the campaign in early March. Go ahead, Kate.
I'm sorry, I thought of one more question concerning the
Oh.
community garden.
Okay, sure.
Would you guys consider people that might wanna have containers instead of beds in that area?
I don't see why not.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I think that would be a great idea.
I do, again, you've got a lot of
Yeah, we've got a lot of
real
space.
space,
Absolutely.
and let's say they, oh, I can't afford a raised bed,
Yeah,
or the fee, or not fee, donation.
well, we
But-
plan on building the raised beds for them, but if
Yeah,
they
but
wanna have a
even-
container instead, we can.
Yeah,
probably do
where
that.
they could grow a couple tomato plants.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I again, we've got plenty of room,
Okay,
so we'll definitely keep that in mind.
thank you.
Any other questions on anything we've covered so far? I just have, I believe, one more thing. Yeah, just one more thing that we were gonna bring up. Nothing so far, okay? So my lovely assistant over here is going to help us with the signs that we would like to present to you guys. These are things that Ken offered us as options.
Samples,
Did you wanna show some of those?
yeah, there's samples of signs.
Samples of signs. First, we're gonna start, yeah, that's yours. First, we're gonna start with the ones that exist right now. So what's nice about these is that they have arrows. Paul, can you pick up the community garden one, okay?
This doesn't have.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to show them. This is what we have
This is
so.
original.
Yeah, these are the originals, there's two of them. And, you know, since they're arrows, it might be nice to have them on Jefferson and Bridge. So people know it's right down the road.
Sheridan Road. Well,
That's right, I'm thinking dog park for just a moment, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Erase,
I
Sheridan Road. Thanks for keeping me honest.
on each side of,
On each side of
Bridge.
Sheridan Road, so they know
Mm-hmm.
that's where it is. We thought that it would be nice also to have a perhaps larger sign actually for the community garden itself, that we could have Sheridan's Community Garden, or, you know, contact so-and-so if you're interested, or whatever we could put in something like this. It would actually be attached to the location itself, so that it would catch
Understand.
people's eyes. We thought that might be a good size, what do you think?
and then, this shows the others.
Yeah,
The
this
size
is a
we-
slightly different size.
Little different size.
Where do you get all these signs?
From Ken.
Are these Kenny's?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're, Ken,
like,
Ken.
Yeah,
got
which
it.
was really helpful. Yeah, I know, we're just picking these up.
Thanks for taking them off.
So that that's another option, it's a little bit, you know, it might
It's like
be nice and
a
catchy.
pizza place.
Yeah, you're right. We talked about that too. Having some sort of.
And these are the signs that Ken gave us, samples, is
Right.
what we want.
And then we just have two others, yeah. This one might be a good one for another location. I don't know if you guys think maybe that, Bridge in Maine might be another place to advertise it. And then we just have another one that, is, it kind of more or less looks like
Yeah, I'll
you
take
know, a
that.
street sign.
I'll take that one with me.
You want to?
Yeah, I live on Hill
Is
Street.
this where you live?
You better check with Ken.
So I labeled those, if you guys wanna like, take a look. You do a really good
I know,
job,
I
it
know.
might be your side job. So, we wanted to kind of get your input on which signs you think are preferable, where you might think it'd be a good idea to have them. They'll be made up for us, so, it's a great opportunity for us to be able to, make sure that whoever is, you know, in, Sheridan knows where to find them.
Who are you having making those?
Ken from Public Works has been kind enough to help us make those.
You make them in the back of his house?
Is there a way, you know how people do Google Maps, is there a way we can identify the community garden on Google
I'm
Maps?
sure we could.
Yeah.
That's a great
My
idea.
son knows how to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I think you can, like, I know there's a way to do it.
There is a
but
way to do
I can't
it.
think of it right this second, but
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and I can ask my son, he does that sort of stuff for me, so.
Do you need prior approval from the city or anybody to do that? Anybody know?
I don't think so, there's lots of things on there
Oh, okay,
that are true and false.
just check, thank you.
And you know, we talked last time about the color, and I think we're gonna stick with blue, if
Yeah.
that's okay with everybody.
Yes, cause I looked it up too, blue
Yeah.
means information, that's it.
Right.
These here, as you know,
Careful,
they're-
there's kind of two together there.
Yeah, there's two.
they're originally located right here on Monroe. And then the other one was located, I can't remember where the other one was located.
I think the first one was right here on this corner,
It could
and then
be,
the other one was over by the Oddfellows Lodge on Monroe and Morgan.
I know there was one over here also on the corner here, or right here
Mhm.
on Monroe.
Yeah, there was.
It's where-
Maybe it was at
that's
the
where it used
corner
to
of,
be, yeah. I knew
this
there was
one.
one there, so.
So I'm wondering if we should have a sign across the street, because we get a lot of people coming up to that stop sign. You know, next to the First Federal, you know, as they're coming in. That might be
On
a nice
Sheridan
place
Road.
where they can see, you know, we could try to get them to, this way.
Go that way.
Yeah,
We just have to be careful, you know, and Kenny is really good, cause he knows how tall, or how high, you know, they have to go, and for vision clearance, and semi trucks, and
right,
all of that stuff, and so if we give him a general idea, he can figure that out.
okay.
I think it'd be nice to have one on City Hall too, on the outside, like visit our community garden. And have the
And use
address or
something like that?
Yeah, or even have like a cute little map, right, and then it has a star, and like some wayfinding stuff.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
But Ken know that information.
yeah.
Because he gonna know how many signs we needed. And, of course, we already know.
That, I did, what was it, I think it was number 3, that was like the big one.
The gigantic one,
I think that was number
I feel like
3.
these are gonna,
It was this one.
they're sharp.
No,
And
okay,
there's-
no,
Oh,
the
it's
other one.
Oh, this.
Yeah, that one.
All times.
What would that one, like, if we had, I mean, I like the size cause you can see it.
Yeah, use
what-
that one for maybe the community garden itself, like. where-
Yeah, I think that one would be a good one
fence.
for the actual
Yeah.
garden
Number 3,
itself on the
okay.
fence, right?
Yep.
Right there on the fence.
Use for, okay. Got it.
Are you gonna put like how to contact you on this? Or just
Yes.
Community garden?
Mm-hmm, yep, just like we have on the flyer.
Okay.
All right. thanks so much for your input, because, you know, it's important and we need to have our committee, you know, weigh in on this, so appreciate your help on this. Any other questions before I sit down?
Lucy, did you have something? You had your hand up.
Can I, is it public comment time versus the, oh.
You think you missed it.
I was just gonna say that the revitalization has authorized having one of those directionals like off of Horseman's. And I did hear them say one of the fingers or arrows will point down Sheridan Road saying community garden.
Oh, nice.
But I like the blue idea and it
Yeah.
might be blue, but
Yeah.
it could be a helper.
It's got that reflective stuff on the lettering too, which I really like, so that,
That commissioned the young man to start
Catches the
making
eye.
that sign, and they're gonna be able to make it inside, so you won't have to wait till summer.
very good. Yeah, we're gonna officially open up, the community garden on April 1st for people,
Yay.
so, yeah, it's just right around the corner, guys,
It
so
looks really good out there
we're
too.
excited.
Yeah, and then I'm working with the Friends and Kay and Omega and I talking about some exciting ideas of working collaboratively for the skate park stuff that needs to be done. So I'm really excited. We're gonna
Waiting
be
for
in
that
there
for a long
Fridays.
time.
Yes, so we're gonna go with Fridays, but that Andrew that wrote in and contacted you, he's been a very helpful person and very understanding and easy to work with. So I'm really excited for some people with lots of energy and kind of match up together.
Yes, that sounds really good, and it's perfect for, our nonprofit to be involved in that, so.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, guys,
was
thanks
Omega's
for the
idea.
opportunity.
Omega's idea there.
Careful.
Okay. So what did you say we skipped?
The trees,
Oh, okay.
that it appears, the representative is here.
How many?
Okay. Alright, then we can go ahead and loop back to our Tree City presentation.
Is that me?
Yes, that's you, Brittany. So,
Can everyone hear me okay?
yes.
Should
Just
I
so,
just get started?
yeah, sure. Just so everyone knows, this is Brittany. She is newer to the Department of Forestry, and she has a lot of good ideas and energy, and we swooped her up in the beginning of her career at the Forestry Department to make sure that we got her attention out here. But she's been really, really helpful. Lots of things are happening with the trees in Sheridan, and one of the things that Brittany has suggested is that we consider joining the Tree City USA program, and I know we've talked about it before, but we thought we'd bring Brittany in to give a lot of good information and to talk about the benefits of the program. And you can pick her brain too about all kinds of things tree related, I'm sure, but we've been really grateful to have her and all of her cohorts up and to support Sheridan, and this is all just stuff that the state does for all of us, so. Thank you, Brittany, for being here tonight. Sorry about the log troubles, but we found you.
No worries, I feel like this happens every time in all communities, so not something I'm not used to. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, I really do love meeting communities in their communities, especially after our initial meeting in Sheridan, and seeing all your city parks. But I was doing some field work in Wilsonville, later this afternoon, and I live in Portland, so it didn't make sense timing wise. But I'm happy that I can join virtually, and I've got some slides I can share with you all, talk about the program, and I'll try to keep that brief so that I can answer any questions that you have about it, or any concerns that you might have too, so I'll just.
Now, Brittany, do you need me to share the screen with you, or that's fine?
No, she took over.
So is everyone seeing my Tree City USA screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Cool. So just real quickly, some things that I want to touch on is first, why are the trees in Sheridan valuable to your community? What is the Tree City USA program? Why is the program beneficial to you? And then what standards would you need to meet in order to be recognized as a Tree City USA in Oregon? So first, and excuse me, I'm a little bit of a tree nerd, so we'll try to keep this a little more brief, but trees provide lots of benefits for us. They're actually infrastructure. They reduce stormwater runoff, capture carbon, cool our neighborhoods, and lots of other things that I'll get into here in a minute. They also increase human and community health. They're our legacy, so the trees that we keep and maintain today and the trees that we plant today is what future generations will enjoy. And they're a wise investment. They actually save us money and bring in revenue. Worth our time and our resources. People instinctively prefer to be in green spaces. It actually improves employee productivity, reduces symptoms of ADHD, decreases crime rates within our communities, eases stress and anxiety, encourages community engagement. And I heard you all talking about your community garden. I actually started a community garden in my apartment complex where I live, and I've seen just in the last year that we've done that, we're all sort of meeting with each other, talking with each other more, that we have that sort of shared space. So in a similar way, that's what trees will do to encourage community engagement. Where there are green spaces, there are opportunities for us all to connect. Trees on a sort of property level value will increase property value. So a house is gonna sell for more if there's a large tree on the property. On a neighborhood scale or a street scale, if you have a shopping complex or a strip, people are more likely to go to those places, spend more time in those places, spend more money in those places if there are trees around. And another thing I like to point out is that you're already spending money on the trees within Sheridan. Tree falls down, tree breaks up the sidewalk, you all already know this, you're spending money on trees. So the program really is just here to provide you with a framework to minimize the costs associated with maintaining trees within our cities while also maximizing the benefits and the values that we get out of them. So just to sort of illustrate this point a little bit, I like to bring some tangible numbers. So in a study that was found in Arizona, they looked at 100 trees over the course of 40 years. And those 100 trees took 26 tons of carbon dioxide and 300 pounds of pollutants out of the air, and provided the net cooling effect of 1,000 air conditioners. So that's pretty significant in our community, especially as heat is becoming a human health issue each year. And then another similar study done in Sacramento looked at parking lots and the impact of shade versus not having shade, and they found that parking lots that were 50% shaded by trees actually resulted in 1 ton every day reduction in volatile organic compounds, which is the sort of piece of research that inspired the EPA to actually put in shading requirements in the Midwest. So pretty significant. Those same 100 trees in that Arizona study captured 200,000 gallons of rainwater each year. So that's pretty good for stormwater runoff reduction and cleaning water within our communities. So if we look at this from a cost perspective, those benefits from those 100 trees over 40 years, that including energy savings, air quality, their runoff, real estate values is about $161,000. And the cost of those 100 trees, so that could include the planting, pruning, removal and disposal, repairs to irrigation, sidewalks, litter from all the leaves that's dropped, legal and administrative fees associated with trees is about $89,000. And so the net payoff is a positive $72,000 brought in from those 100 trees. So trees save us money if we proactively maintain and manage them. Which brings me to the Tree City USA program. So Tree City USA is a national program through the Arboretum Foundation. I am our state's coordinator for that program with the Oregon Department of Forestry. And it's meant to provide people managing trees within their communities a little bit of direction on provide some technical assistance and how to do that, especially in communities that maybe don't have a designated urban forester or an arborist, folks like that on staff that might have more experience managing trees. The Tree City USA program is also great for public attention and national recognition, so good press. The program started in 1976, and since then, over 135 million people actually live in or near a tree city. So lots of tree cities out there, a very large network. And becoming a Tree City USA has the potential of putting you in touch with other cities that are experiencing similar successes or challenges with trees. And then specifically here in Oregon, in 2022, we had 71. 2023 hasn't been finalized yet, but we should have 72 with Tangent being our newest. Yay. And I have a story map on our website that you can all look at to look at each individual community and see pictures of their trees and what they have going on. But I'm a state reviewer, so applications will come to me. I will then help communities get up to standards or assist them through the application process. Really, my job is to make this process as easy as possible for all of my community partners. Trying to make this the least amount of headache for you and taking on some of the more annoying challenges with the application, as well as helping you meet the standards initially. So maybe if you don't have a tree ordinance, that's something I can help you put together so that we can get to that Tree City USA recognition. And then the other thing I like to point out that's a little bit different here in Oregon is that we have the additional requirement of cities having a work plan. And what that is a really simple document that just outlines what work you plan to do in your urban forest for the year looking ahead. And the reason that we decided to do that is just so that we have some forward thinking in our tree city. So not just what you did and how you've been accomplished as a tree city in the past, but also looking towards the future of how we're managing our urban forests here in Oregon. And I can help you with that too. We've got templates and all the resources available through my program. So what are the benefits of signing up for Tree City USA? It's really a framework for action. So it sort of provides cities with a direction of where they want to go with their urban forest, maybe identifying areas that are under canopy, being really intentional in how you manage your trees in a way that sort of provides that direction and that framework, as well as having access to my program and me putting you in touch with other tree cities and lots of other resources, sort of a community of folks doing this work. It's also an opportunity for education. So that could be assistance through this application process. I'm happy to talk about any and all things urban forestry support where you're at and help you grow to where your goals are. There's also online resources through the Arbor Day Foundation, technical advice. We come in and we do workshops. I actually have plans to meet with you all to do some inventory in your city park for some of the larger ash trees. But I won't talk about that now, but things like that I'm happy to do. And usually we'll do more so with our tree cities because they're talking with our program more often. Another benefit is public image. So what your community sees in Sheridan, if they do become a Tree City USA, they see a higher quality of life. Maybe they see that they have some influence in communities around them. It's a more desirable community to live in and foster citizen pride and volunteerism, which is a cyclical cycle that just keeps on growing. It's also a good opportunity for publicity. We have the award materials and things that get handed out and sent to you every year that you're recognized. You also are required to have an Arbor Day celebration through this program, so that's a good way to keep community engagement high every year. Yes, we're at Tree City USA. This is what we've done. This is what we're celebrating in our community's trees. And that's an opportunity and why it's beneficial. What do you actually need to do in order to become a tree city? Well, you have to have a tree board or a department. So really, it's someone that is designated as responsible for the trees in Sheridan. And I'll go into what each of those things sort of means here in a minute. The second standard is having a tree care ordinance. The third is spending at least $2 per capita on trees in your community. And then the fourth is holding an Arbor Day observance and proclaiming Arbor Day every year. So for the tree board or department, this could be park staff, this could be professional forester, it could be, in some communities I've seen it be a city manager. Really, it's just whoever is responsible for managing trees in your community, whether that be public works. So you could just designate someone that already exists within staff or a department that exists already. Or you could have a group of volunteer citizens or committee charged by the tree ordinance with developing and administering the management of trees in your community. Really, it's just someone that's legally responsible for the management of your community's trees. Which gets to the tree care ordinance, which establishes the tree board or department and gives responsibility for trees in your community. It also provides guidance for planting trees in Sheridan, maintaining them, removing them when they're on public property. And it also provides an opportunity to set good policy around trees in your community. What do you want to see happen, and how is it legally enforceable? The $2 per capita is pretty easy to meet. Most cities are already spending that, even if they're not tracking it or they're unaware of it. And it could be, salaries, city workers or contractors that do work on public rights of way trees. It could be planting, watering, fertilizing costs, equipment rental, purchase and maintenance, Arbor Day celebration expenses, volunteer hours, conferences, workshops, memberships. It's a pretty long list. And if you want more specifics on what can be counted towards the costs, I'm happy to talk more in detail about that. And then the last one, and the most fun, is the Arbor Day Observance and Proclamation, which is just really an opportunity for community engagement around trees in your community. It doesn't actually have to happen on Arbor Day or during Arbor Month. It can happen at any point in the year that you're applying. So a lot of communities will celebrate in October because it's a better time for planting trees. As long as you hold some kind of celebration, it doesn't have to be super large or costly, but just something that says, we care about our trees, we're talking about our trees. And then have the mayor proclaim Arbor Day. So how do you become a tree city? Well, you have to first meet those 4 standards, and I'm happy to help get you there if you're not there already. Complete and upload application documents every year by December 15th, which is free and pretty easy to use through their application portal. And there's a bunch of Arbor Day Foundation resources about each individual standard on their website too. So in summary, trees are valuable in our communities. The Tree City USA program is there to help you maximize the benefits of trees. And the program is there to help you sort of set standards for that. And then in order to become a Tree City USA, you just have to meet those 4 standards. And I always like to leave with a quote. This one is, "A town is saved not by the righteous men in it, then by the woods that surround it," which is Henry David Thoreau. And I guess I will just say thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about this program, something that's very near and dear to me. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I have a question. I'm curious, in the study of the 100 trees, right?
Yep.
Was there like a variety of trees in this study? I'm just curious about the mix of trees.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so it's not just one single species of tree. It was a combination of broadleaf and evergreen trees within that community. So there is a bit of a variety. And I'm also happy to share the sources from those actual numbers that you all can look at the research, because it's pretty cool.
What is a broadleaf tree?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So a broadleaf tree is one that loses its leaves every year. So it's sort of those big green leaves that come out in the spring and then they drop in the fall, whereas conifers sort of bear cones and keep their leaves on for much longer through the seasons.
Is it better to have a 50-50 mix?
I personally think having a diversity of tree species in your community will help with resilience to things like pests and pathogens that could come in, because if you have a bunch of the same trees, like for example, if you have a whole neighborhood that's just planted with ash trees, and then you have something like the emerald ash borer or a destructive pest come in, eats and kills all those trees, then you lose all of the trees on that street instead of just one or two. So I always say it's good to have a variety, and there are best management practices around how many numbers of which species and what types of trees to plant in order to have a more resilient urban forest. Yeah.
From your experience dealing with other tree cities, do they annually plant new trees every year? Is there a goal to do that?
So I think that each community is different, and it'll depend on what resources they have available and what their urban forestry management goals are. So I think the first step is really having an inventory. So you want to know what your community trees look like, what do you have, and then you want to sort of come up with an urban forestry management plan that's based on your community's needs. Get community engagement, see what the community wants out of your urban forest, what are your goals, and then come up with a plan for how are we going to reach that. So that could look different depending on how much staff, money, and things that you have based on that plan. So it's very variable in each community. You do report sort of how many trees you removed every year and how many trees you planted every year. But in some communities, they don't plant any trees that year, and that doesn't mean that they're not a tree city. It just is what happened in that year.
So once a city becomes a tree city, how much time per year, or how often are you like re-upping that title? What do the audits look like? What kind of time would we expect somebody would need to put in it to maintain the tree city status?
Great question. So each year, I would say the better system you have in place for tracking the year, the easier the application process is, and having to talk through that. So basically, you just want to have a tracking sheet that you fill out throughout the year on costs or expenditures that you spent on trees. So whether that be public right of way in parks or volunteer hours, you know, anything that can be recorded, just track that on the spreadsheet, and then you can more easily input that into the application. Shouldn't take more than a few hours for that application itself. And I'm always a resource for if you're having trouble with something, you're unsure if you need something, maybe something changed in your community, you're not sure how to reflect that within the application. That work I want to take on for you, so it's not a staff burden. But to answer your question, you reapply every year. I would suggest starting in November, just to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And if you have revisions that you'll need to make, you have some time. And then December 15th is the hard deadline. All the revisions are made and you're approved in the spring.
That answered my question that I was gonna ask if we had to do this every year, and you just answered that, so thank you.
Yeah, it is annual.
Other questions, guys?
Brittany, this group has been really curious about the emerald ash borer.
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe you could just give like just a couple minutes about what you've shared with us, and then the plans for the city park where there is a lot of ash trees.
Yeah, so the Green Menace, Emerald Ash Borer, I'm glad that you all are thinking about this and talking about it and concerned about it. I am too. So Emerald Ash Borer, if you are unfamiliar with it, is also referred to as EAB. It's an invasive beetle that's non-native to our climate. It was first discovered in Michigan, I think back in 2001, and has been one of the most destructive pests in the country. It has a really crazy high mortality rate in the communities that it's in. But the good news is that Oregon, well, I guess it's not good news, but I'll say the silver lining is that EAB was detected here in Oregon in Forest Grove in 2022. But since there had been a lot of destruction happening in the Midwest for all of those years, we have a lot that we have learned and prepared for in the event that it would show up, and it has. So one thing that's different is that Oregon has a native ash species. So it's our Oregon ash, Fraxinus latifolia, is found in riparian areas and is really important for cooling streams and salmon habitat. It's very concerning, not knowing how to sort of manage for EAB in that sort of situation. But we have different management plans depending on where we are and what we're dealing with. In the state currently, Forest Grove has a quarantine, so no wood material for infested ash material can be moved outside of that area. ODA and ODF, as well as other community partners, have worked together to put a task force to monitor, slow the ash mortality, and sort of detect satellite populations that might start to pop up throughout Oregon. Currently, we're still just isolated to the Forest Grove area as far as we know. But some things to be aware of is that you want to start being proactive about the management of ash trees in your community, because it is very likely that you will see emerald ash borer show up at some point. Hopefully we can slow that as much as we can. And that's sort of the strategy, is slowing the spread of the ash mortality here. So there are a couple options and we can work through those, but when I was out visiting Sheridan and we were looking at the city park, I was in awe because I have not seen ash trees that big and in that good of a condition in any other community that I've been in. So it's very significant, and so we decided we wanted to come out and do a full inventory of that park. Using our tree plotter inventory software, which is free to use, and I'm hoping to also talk to you all about that when I get there. So we're gonna do an inventory of all the trees and then see which ones are good fits for treatment. Now with the treatment, there is a lot of new developments since 2001 when it was first detected, so we know a lot about the treatment options and what works best. The one that we would recommend is emamectin benzoate. Happy to talk to you about that. What's nice about emamectin benzoate is it has a very low non-target species rating. So what that means is that there's very little risk to non-target like pollinators and other members of that ecosystem. And the reason for that is that it's a systemic trunk injection. So whenever you sort of decide, this is the tree that we want to treat, and you decide maybe you want to go with an emamectin benzoate, you would have someone who's certified come out and do treatment with a trunk injection. The tree takes it throughout its whole body and makes it so that the beetle cannot eat and kill it. Yeah, I think that's sort of the meat of it, but some things that you can do proactively to prepare for EAB is have an inventory of the trees in your community and identify where the ash trees are. Identify which trees are good candidates for treatment, like the ones in your city park that are really large, really beautiful, would be devastating if you lost them. and then start maybe removing ash trees that are in poor condition, smaller ash trees that are not good candidates for treatment. Because if you do end up having emerald ash borer show up without having a plan, it's gonna be more costly for you in the long run. And I would take it off of your species list if you have ash, anyway. Any questions specifically about EAB?
How long is the treatment good for?
It's good indefinitely, but you have to continuously treat it. It's not a one and done
Oh,
situation. Yeah, and you can sort of start to treat it less frequently as it progresses, but yeah, it is something that will need to be treated. Like they are still treating trees in Michigan.
Okay.
So
Thank you. How frequent are the treatments on that?
I believe it's annually, and then you can go maybe 3 years, and then you can go maybe 5 years in between treatments, depending on what the infestation looks like.
So this budget year, we're budgeting for the treatment costs, but we're having Brittany come out and help us do the inventory so we understand a little bit more about the treatment cost of that. And then we'll have a staff member go and get the licensing for the chemical and work on all of that. So every time Brittany and her crew come, I learn so much, and it's like the best day at work. So thank you so much.
The feeling is mutual.
Oh,
I enjoy Sheridan so much.
We have such a good time, and I know that this isn't the last time, Brittany, that you will see this group. Because I'm sure they're gonna be curious about the inventory and all of that, so
Yes.
we'll have to have you out, and probably the city council will probably wanna hear, and who knows, even the planning commissioners will probably stop by, so we'll have to have some sort of, group meeting with you. Just thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
I mean, this
Thank
is
you.
what makes my job meaningful to me, so I really appreciate the time and meeting with you all. Hopefully next time it can be in person, and I mean, anytime anyone wants to talk trees with me.
I'm sure you would love a phone call just to talk trees.
1,000%. Yeah, anytime.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So there is a motion of whether or not we want to go ahead and start the process with Tree City USA.
I make a motion that we start the process for Tree City USA.
Second.
Can I clarify the motion?
Sure.
Are we saying that we want to start to become a Tree City USA city, or just start the things that it sounds like we should be doing for the community anyways that would allow us to move on that later? Like what exactly are we making a motion to start like the inventory and that stuff, or to do the whole, every bit of the process to become a Tree City?
I think the whole process. Yeah.
It's really nice to have this because I think it starts, because we're gonna be doing quite a bit of work to do the protection for the EAB, the menace, she calls it the green menace, which makes it sound like a comic book character. So she, just so that we can tally all that time and all that money too, that we're gonna be spending towards that, so I.
So it rolls into.
Right, cause I think my question
That's
before we
your
go
question.
into Tree USA is how do we know what this is gonna cost? Like, are we gonna have you be the tree manager that does all these applications every year?
Probably not. There's a person in Public Works that is like over the moon excited, and he cannot wait to get involved.
Can you clarify, because no matter what, whether we were a tree city or not, we're gonna treat the trees.
Yeah, if the budget committee approves it.
And
And
if
the
the
city
budget
council,
committee-
and the
yeah.
city council does,
Yes.
because there is some cost there, but that's also why why we're gonna have Brittany and her team come out and do the inventory. So then we can start to calculate the amount of chemicals that we need and all of that stuff, but
But as far as
so many of those trees are ash trees in the park, and I can't even imagine what it would look like.
But as far as the administrative costs of doing the applications and all that stuff, it sounds like we already have a city worker that would do it, so it wouldn't necessarily add additional hours to that or any additional cost.
No, so I did the program when I was in Donald, and we got it all kicked off, and this is, a couple years ago, and it's always, there is some work there's some work involved, especially with like the telling of the hours of the program, but it's also really fun. It's the fun type of work, and I think it's also really good for communities, for cities, because it's like almost like a pushed, public outreach thing, like this is what your city is doing, or this is what the Park and Recreation Committee does, and so it's really a great time to share work and to kind of, like she said, like publicize and get people excited. People like trees in general, so.
Yeah, I would love to know all the different trees that are in the park. I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we thought would be neat too. They have a free software that they're gonna be using and teaching our staff. Several of our staff members are interested in using that plotting inventory software that they have, and they give it to us for free. So right there too, it's just the staff time, just tracking it towards that. But yeah, it gets really exciting, and how we can communicate that to the public, whether it's those little signs. I don't know if anybody knows this, but when you're leaving Wilsonville going south, there's a rest stop that's, I can't remember the name of it, but inside that rest stop, there, when they first put it there, it's one of the oldest rest stops in the state, and it has all of the state trees for every state in there. And there was a big restoration process that happened about 5 or 6 years ago to save some of the trees and to look at all of the trees. But it is a really neat place to visit, and if you're a tree person.
It's before 205, entering 205.
Yeah, but it's headed southbound.
The southbound side, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've driven by that so many times, and I've seen this Tree City Arbor Day sign before, because it's like, wait, that looks familiar, and then you mentioned that, I'm like, that's probably where I saw it,
Yeah,
in other places too, but
yeah, McMinnville is a tree city.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's lots of tree cities.
I remember too, one year, I was only in 4-H, but we collected leaves. I don't remember anything, but it was to teach us about the value of trees and the different types. And I'd love to see that for the kiddos here.
I know, there's so many like little fun
Yeah.
programs
Yes.
that you can do. Like I just wrote down one that was really fun that we did. It was right at the beginning of COVID, I think, or something with COVID. But we had a coloring contest, and we had this little place that was a community center, it's a tiny building. And on the outsides, we had kids do all their coloring contest entries, right? So like once a week, the staff would go down, staff person hang them on. But anyways, and then people got to vote, and there was a gift card winner. That was a lot of fun too, just to walk downtown and see all of the, coloring contests and see your own work out there. But there's just simple, like, that doesn't have a lot of cost associated to it or anything. So just lots of little fun things that you can do. I think I told you about when we did the tree identification, like people submitted their pictures, and then the forester told you about that tree in your yard. So lots of creative ideas, like even like the rubbing of the leaves that kids do. So yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit, and I'm sure this creative group would have lots of great ideas to engage.
So we have a motion to go ahead and approve and start the process to become a tree city. I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We're gonna do it.
Okay,
Sounds good.
I'll
Alright.
let public works staff know, but it's Jake on staff, and he's gonna be really excited. You'll get to meet Jake.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm gonna give Jake the go tomorrow.
We'll go ahead and go to the approval of the minutes, and just really quickly looking at them. I've not had time to do that yet.
I brought them in.
Huh?
I brought them in.
Very good. I make a motion, if that's okay, to approve the minutes from January 25th, 2024.
I second the motion because I already read it.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright. Minutes read as, approved as read. Okay, we can go on down to our subcommittee reports and start off with our Riverfront Park System.
Okay,
That you, that'll be you or he.
well, I guess from last meeting, the main thing I have to report on as far as the Riverfront Parks go is a meeting that I had, did you get my email?
Okay.
Email for it?
Oh, yes.
And I didn't just talk to you about it.
Yes, it's okay. I wasn't sure if you were talking about today.
Well, we can talk about it right now. But at any rate, I went down to visit Civil West, Tim Gross down there, and to go over the current plans that he showed us, or he didn't show us, but we went over last meeting. Because there was a number of things that I had some questions about, and he actually had some questions once I got down there. We spent probably about an hour and a half, talking about, well, maybe not everything related to this, but other things, but got to know each other pretty good and kind of get into this. We had his computer, he pulled it up, I had some diagrams so that we could talk a little bit more about it. So I just wanted to make sure that, we're just kind of on the same page as we move forward, because I know it's money, so that's why I went down there to see instead of him coming up or going over the phone. Plus I wanted to get some live crab down there. But I think at the bottom line, without getting into like a lot of the detail, we were trying to figure out what the plan is for that whole area. So not just the pavilion, but the Chestermore Park, the Morgan Street site, and which includes, is there going to be a parking structure there, or not a structure, but a parking lot, other things that maybe kind of go beyond parks and recreation, even though the parks need a parking spot to park cars to get people in there. But I was thinking of, how could we kind of break this out to where we're getting, I guess the most important thing right now is the pavilion foundation repaired so that we can build on it. Because without that, we can't put decking on it, can't put walls, can't put the rear ramp, can't do anything. So we kind of focused on that first and just kind of reviewed, what that would take, and there were some different options there. And there's a few things that I told them I would work on. The county's gonna have to be involved because there's gonna be a pathway to connect the two parks under the bridge. And so there's a big section of that is county property. Exactly what a sidewalk would consist of under there. Is it gonna be concrete, is it gonna be a boardwalk, that sort of thing. And then also the wall will serve as part of that sidewalk behind the 106 building wall, because we just don't know if that thing's gonna stay there much longer. So we, I think, got that pretty well down. We talked about behind the pavilion, where that walkway would go. And, where would it be ADA accessible for most of the people. There's a bank right there that has been kind of sloughing off, that we talked about doing maybe a tiered rock wall from the back of the pavilion back past a tree that's actually right on the bank. And have the path go down around that up to the upper parking lot. One of the other things we talked about, because we mentioned to Heidi about making some grade down where the boat ramp would be at the end of Morgan Street. And this is where we get into Department of State lands versus the Marine Board versus the county versus what you can do where. And so really it's kind of depends on where you're at on that piece of property. So we have the ordinary high water mark, which if you look across the river during low water, you can kind of see where vegetation doesn't grow. And that's what they consider like the ordinary high water mark. On our side of the river, that's probably at low water. You can see it, it's about the same, but when we have low water on our side of the bank, it's about 10 feet down. So it's kind of a drop. So you can't jump off of that or get a boat on it or anything else. So that means that about 7 to 8 feet of that is above the ordinary high water mark, and so that's in the floodway, but it's not part of the public land, which is part of the river, and that makes a big difference in permitting. And then above that, when you get up to the bank, now you're out of the floodway, you're starting into the floodplain as you go up. And so the pavilion happens to be mostly in the floodplain, but that wall on the 106 building is kind of the dividing line between the floodplain and the floodway. And so he's thinking if we took the level of the ground down to, let's say, wherever the ordinary high water mark is, then the county rules would apply. And he could get a permit for that. But he says the problem there is if you take land out there, you have to put that land somewhere else on the same parcel of land, which would be perfect for us because we could put it behind the staggered rock wall for the upper park area and level that out where the picnic tables would be off the back of the pavilion. So he's gonna check that out. He's gonna draw some plans. And what he needs to do actually is, it would be him drawing up plans. Eventually it would go out to bid to see how much it would cost, and then we have to talk about funding and that sort of thing. So we have that funding mechanism. Then we also have the pavilion, and that would maybe be the next phase. So we got our foundation in place, our pathway. So now we're gonna look at replacing the decking and doing all the other amenities, some of what we've talked about in the subcommittee meeting. Redesign the back wall, put a railing in between the 106 building and the pavilion, and build a ramp off the back. And I've been in contact with the owner of the property that adjoins the city property, which is the big mercantile building. It used to be called Mercantile Building. It's next to the restaurant, that building.
The antique area.
Yeah, yeah. And that actually goes pretty far back into this area where we have the parking lot. And next to the pavilion and behind the restaurant. And so they're real anxious to see something happen here and are real interested in knowing exactly how we would do this. So I've got them on hold until we can kind of get a little further with, some of the design stuff so we can address that. So he's going to work on, again, phase 1 would be the foundation and the pathway. 2 would be a design for what the deck would look like and the amenities. And then the last one would be the parking lot area and the restroom area. And the upper park area would be part of the pathway. And that might be a whole nother pending mechanism, maybe economic development funding available for that, which is a bigger pot of money than what we have for some of these others. So I guess that's 3 phases, right?
At least.
Yeah.
So at any rate, I did give him, I was down here in Sheridan a couple of weeks ago, and they had our high water down here. And I showed him the photos that I took of that whole area, and he was really interested in that because it really shows, the water, you just pretend it's dirt. That's where the level of dirt would be. You really get a better idea for the grading and all of that. And he also needs to double check the distance between the existing pavilion and the 106 building, because the owners of the 106 building don't want any foundation, like the barrels under there that support the post for the pavilion. The footings are actually 4 foot, so they're actually over the property line and into their property line. So it's going to know that they wanted those removed, that's what they're going to do. So he's going to have a surveyor come down and relook at some of this and try to get it fine tuned so that we can move forward. So, and then, I don't know if you got a chance to talk with him yet on that or not.
Oh, yeah. I have news for you.
So, you gotta talk to the boss down there. Somebody's got the money. And see, how you wanna break this out. So he's prepared to do, whatever they want, which is good.
Ernie, just so you know, he should be getting you and I a final draft of the plan with all the input that you gave. Thank you for going down there and giving your time.
Actually, it was rather enjoyable.
Good.
That road down there's At 101.
Oh,
Boy, it was worse than we were down there a month ago, and it's far worse. You gotta slow down to 10 miles an hour, go down in the ditch and come out.
oh, because of where it slid.
Yeah,
Even
it's
by like
sliding all
Beverly
the
Beach
time.
and stuff. Yeah, there's a big one there. So he is, has a goal to get us some more updated plans, you and I, in the next couple of weeks, because I have put, I want a deadline of March 4th for him to present to the city council and get their feedback, their final feedback, so that hopefully we can go out for bid on phase 1 very soon.
That'd be
Because
good.
the earlier you can get in that construction window, the better your odds are that your project will be picked up and usually at a lower cost.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be very interesting when we find out what the construction costs are. So the work that's put into this point doesn't, I want the public to know, doesn't necessarily guarantee that we're gonna be able to do it. Ernie and I are probably, may have to go back out and find some funding somewhere to pull this off, so.
Well, the other part of that
But we
too
have
is,
to know the bid.
yeah, the other part of that is, on the, river access project. Mark Lago is, on that committee, so I've been waiting to
Okay.
get in touch with him, because actually part of that pathway would be under the bridge, and that's county property.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about that, and maybe the storm sewer that's on the Chester Moore property, maybe wrap that.
I have
in.
updates for you on that too.
And then the 106 building, the county has an easement under that building for purposes of putting in riprap and rock and that sort of thing. So even though we can't do it, the county could. So just want to see if maybe we could get some cooperation from them on that part of that project. Maybe they could contribute, kind of like the railing. Anyway.
Well, you're the person to pull it off.
You've done an
Anyway, so
incredible
that-
amount of
that's
stuff
kind
so
of,
far.
Yes.
I'll just keep my fingers crossed on this part.
We all will.
What else, Katie?
Wow,
We talked today about, we already told them that you got the picnic tables.
yes, we got the picnic tables and the majority of the funding for that is covered. The last piece of that is, our group is submitting a community development grant to the city on the 1st of March, requesting $500. And that'll cover the complete cost of the picnic tables and anchoring hardware. And again, want to thank Rotary for donating $6,000, First Federal for $5,000. Thank those groups.
And you?
No.
She said some member donated $91, and I ended up donating $38 a day for the, I forgot something on that. That's okay.
Awesome, okay, I'm excited to see something starting. And I think a lot of people will be excited to see something physically actually being done at some point this year. So that's exciting.
There's one more, talk about the clock again. Again, the hope is when the weather gets a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, so, the weather guessers keep,
Keep us on our toes, don't they?
so, who's doing what? So we have an individual who's, said that he would donate, his time and lift to, remove the roof from it. But he needs, dry weather. Specs has already disconnected the electrical for me, and then the city needs a 3-day advance notice. And, figured about 10 o'clock in the morning would be the best time to comb that off and try to get this project done. But anytime I've seen 2 or more dry days, it's always on the weekend, and the city doesn't work on the weekend, so it's kind of, I'm still waiting for good weather. So the clock is alive and well in my shop. And, Mark's waiting to hear from me, my contractor, and we can start, and tell him to hope for good weather. I think we still got a little money left over in our account.
You do.
So there'll be a few other things probably coming up with the kiosk. That was mainly what that money was for. doing that. That's it.
Okay.
Awesome, okay. Great. Dog park updates.
Okay, or as we call her rotary cake here.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I can change that.
you sure you don't wanna talk about it? No? We got together and we did talk about, the different areas, and our focus right now is on the Jefferson Street one. And, again, we have the solar lights, we've got 2 dog, way stations, we've got a couple benches, spigots are going to be ordered, so again, we're looking at that, and again, we want to focus on Jefferson, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions from the notes.
I do have one fun thing to do. Sandy told me that she ordered the signs
Uh-huh.
for all the parks. And that we finally have, word back from the railroad, and theirs is 20 feet.
Ooh,
But for
The
our
setback.
standards is 30, so we
Okay,
can go with
all
30.
right.
That's for the setbacks, if
Setbacks,
anybody
right.
is curious and then.
Sorry.
So it's from the middle of the track, right?
Mhm.
30 feet, and then we can put our fence. So,
Okay,
Great.
that's good. Okay. So do you think we'll have that dog park up and running by the end of this year?
I hope it's there, right?
Weather?
What, that's, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
everything, I know, depending on, that's why I said by the end of this year,
Yeah.
not in like next month.
And again, it comes down to the fencing, which is
Right.
gonna be ordered in bulk.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Is it gonna be a big chunk of, you
Yeah,
know, determining how, you know, cause it is so expensive,
yeah,
so.
okay,
The Southside Park Dog Park has to be done by the end of the year too, to close out the grant.
that's true.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa, okay, that's
All
great.
right. Okay. Good to know. Okay.
So for the advertising and recreation, we have only had one meeting. We have I'm trying to get everyone together for a second one to talk more about some of the content that we want for the website. And that's all I have right now. We're still waiting on, I'm still waiting back on some people to give me back some dates so they're available.
I'll ask you a question afterwards.
Okay, and this YamCo Parks and Recreation?
We have not had a meeting yet. My meeting for that is on the 21st of this month, so I'll have update for the next time.
You've had meetings before, but not just for this month.
Yeah, I had an
Not since this-
update last time on
Yeah.
the last meeting, but
Okay.
nothing for this meeting.
But just for everybody, that's, Omega sits on the board for the Yamhill County
that's right.
Parks. Mhm. And so she, you know, is the anchor for the West Valley.
Okay. And I thought that Eric was going to be here with an RC update, but no.
So I have been trying to keep in pretty steady contact with him, and I kind of keep getting the same answer of he's waiting for more people to confirm that they want to join before he has a meeting. I am going to continue to keep steady contact to try to keep this moving forward.
Yeah, cause
I don't know what
I know
else to
he's
do.
posted quite a few things and he told people to go to a meeting, it's,
I offered to facilitate the meeting to help set up the planning for it. He said he doesn't know how to do minutes. I said I could absolutely teach somebody how to do minutes in a meeting. And, he keeps saying he's got a few people he's waiting to get on board.
I guess the ball's in his court.
I will reach out to him again, probably next week, try to keep steady contact, let him know the support is here.
What happens if in 6 months, nothing's happened? Do we take action? What do we do?
Well, I mean, he seems to be leading the group that knows what the action would be. I don't know enough about RC cars to even try to implement that.
I guess guess
I
we
guess it'll
just,
be up to the committee,
Yeah, okay,
just hold, try to keep it going and see
Yeah.
where we are.
okay, thank you.
and I think it's just good to keep it
Open?
open and
Okay.
I guess when it happens,
Okay,
you know?
so leave it on our list of things that we have talked about
Yeah.
and still consider.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if we have an update, then we can put it on the agenda and say, hey, we have an update, so I think that's good. Okay, Amphitheater, Wendell's not here.
No,
I think he's out of town, right? Is that right? No? I know he said he was gonna be out of town sometime, but I didn't know when it was gonna, I don't remember when.
Okay, a lot of times.
No, I don't think he shared an update with me either, so
He did not have an update.
he did not have an update. But
No.
he's Omega's offered to give him a direct link to this meeting, and so he's gonna be able to watch it.
Okay,
So
yeah.
he'll feel
And
updated.
And I know he did send I'm gonna let Paul and Vivian know, he did send a message to the Facebook page for the Friends asking for some assistance. So is it Barry that's?
Very,
Barry, so ask him to check and get in touch.
Yeah.
So you guys can get in touch with him,
Okay.
cause I know that he's asking, and for some reason I'm still on that page, so I don't.
You'll never get off of that.
Oh. Okay.
Chair, do you mind if I give a small update that isn't listed on here, but it has to do with all of this?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I feel like we've reached a spot where we've given a lot of feedback and we have a lot of knowledge about what we want at different parks. And that original intention was for us to get together and look at our Sheridan master plan.
Right.
So I am going to,
As soon as this guy passes.
all I was gonna say is okay, I think it's safe. So, okay, so I'm going to figure out, I'm gonna get a couple costs to see if there's a professional service to put it out there. Because I think in the amount of work that we've given, it really just needs, somebody to do the actual like laborious work, right? The labor to put it all together and to consolidate it, and to give it a really nice report look. There's a part of me that thinks that would be a good senior project for somebody, but there's also quite a bit of like, what am I gonna say, like really professional work that has to go into it in order to make it sound for system development charges. So I'm really trying to figure out how to keep the costs down, because any cost we spend on this could have been money that goes into something else, right? So I am trying to balance that out and see if there's something out there that's a grant that can do it, but it is work that has to be essentially blessed or approved by legal too.
Right.
So anyways, just kind of trying to figure that out and think creatively about how to get it done. Just want to give you an update on that, because we have to remember that the point for all of this that we've opened up
Right.
was really to update that plan.
Yes.
To update our capital capital improvement plan. So, just so, you know, I haven't forgot about that.
Yeah, that's good to remind us of that too, yeah.
It keeps changing.
It keeps changing, and there's pieces too that I think are about growth, like that's me about growth, and so maybe, you know, there's brochures really, that's about like growth and advertisement, like how much and how little, you know, advertising in the parks and doing some maps and some designs and anyways, there's a lot to think about, and so going back and looking at all the minutes and all the stuff, the tables that we've created, and the action plan is being looked at, so we have to consolidate all of that in a thoughtful way. But there's pieces of these plans that essentially look at what the population projections are, and then they break it down into how much each resident, new housing unit would have to pay to be added to the park system, right, when you build a new home in Sheridan. Anyways, it gets really technical, that's what I'm looking for, really technical.
So-
There's a crafting piece where you consolidate and put it all together, which can most likely be done by a student, but then the technical piece has to be done by somebody who is very well versed and trained in that. Yes, Ernie?
I was gonna say, so the development plan
Mhm.
that was approved in 2014, and that's a 20-year plan, right? And then within that it has the capital improvement plan, which expired like a long time ago, 2019. So that one's gotta be updated, but do we need to update the plan itself at this point?
Yeah, there's pieces of it that will have to be looked at, like the population projections, those are different now. And I think that there's some new requirements that need to be hit on too for this, but it is what it is for now. I mean, there is an SDC, right? It's not that there isn't, so that's good. But that was the point of all of this, and so I just wanted to make sure that we don't get forgetful of that. And we'll get there. We'll find this ourselves a student that at least wants to put together some of the charts and stuff, and little summaries about each park, like what the plan is written, summary and kind of a description.
Right, and, yeah, I'll wait for that.
Okay, you have any public comment? Do you have something you want to say?
You won't-
Public
I was just having a
comment?
I was just having a dream thinking, geez, I should hope they're not gonna ask anything from you right now. I can't believe it, it's that time. No, but I was listening to everything.
No public comment?
I think that Sheridan being known as a tree city would look really good on our resume.
Yeah.
And I like the way it feels clean, you assume breeze like, the gateway to the ocean.
My title is Forest Land next to it.
I know, it keeps the air clean.
Okay,
Tourism will love it.
alright then, now we'll do the committee member comments, you have something, okay, go ahead.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I remember we discussed last time about specifically maybe the city park, laying out a rough drawing of where these little projected areas were gonna be used. And also, I do know, right, Heidi, those teeter-totter things were removed.
They
Right.
were removed.
They were removed. Are we planning anything in that area other than just put some dirt and grass there or what?
Well, the park budget is extremely low,
Yes,
so park equipment is being looked at. We have a very excited person, public works person, Jake, who's very interested in park development, and he came into my office and he had some proposals for those, and so he's looking into some grant money, but he had everything from like something that's $800 to something that was like $30,000 and everything in between. And so he is working really hard to figure something out for that space, and it's really encouraging to see somebody who's really excited about their work and their job. But his really big push is for ADA. Oopsie. Is for there's an earthquake. His really big push is for inclusivity, and so he really, and in a part of that, he really wants there to be opportunities for children that have ADA needs to have an opportunity in the park to play. So we're hoping that we can find maybe a grant out there to help with that. So that's what he's really thinking about in that space, is about some,
okay.
so.
Yeah, cause it would be cool, again, to either post it in the park at the beginning, kind of here's our ideas for these areas.
Yeah.
Or put it in the bulletin board, just to get people start being excited about some of these ideas and
Yeah.
stuff.
I think that's part of Omega's idea with
Oh,
her
for sure,
brochure.
sure.
Or,
Yeah.
I'm not calling it the right thing, but yes.
Then the
Advertising.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I think we need some maps.
You remember from the notes, it said recreational immunity at risk. And the action was for Tyler to look at the code for the city's immunity changes needs. Was that ever addressed?
Yes, and I'll have him write a report on that, but he has been working on that. He has recommended, so he also is a city attorney for another couple of other cities in YamCo County. But one of those other cities had a person from CIS, which is the city's pooled insurance for liability, property, auto insurance. Anyways, and they provide a risk management portion of that, and I've been in contact with the risk management person to have them come out and do an assessment of the city parks. And one of the biggest changes right now in the landscape of risk management with parks is about if the park can be used as essentially it's like a walkway between two spaces instead of being a park. So what is the purpose of this? And for some reason, that really plays into all of this legal talk around it. But it's just like, is it really just a bypass essentially, like to get from point A to point B? And the South Side Park is a firm no.
Oh, yeah.
You're only going there only to recreate.
Right.
So he's looking at the spaces and how the different parks were used, including the Veterans Park. And so that's what he's working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm scanning real quick, I have notes. And we were talking about naming South Park. That's still on our list of to-dos, is that
Right.
correct?
Yes, but we want to get further along with what it looks like.
Okay.
When all the improvements start to get plopped in, and there's a lot going on for that right now.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Don't forget about the naming thing.
No.
Because it's more, I would say, more for this group than I'm much more worried about just getting everything put into place.
Yeah.
But if one of you wants to start to come up with the parameters for a contest, that would be fantastic.
I do want to, have two things. First, I want to apologize for coming late. It's not normal for me to forget, basically, which is what happened. I was pulling into park at my apartment, and I just looked at my phone and I saw my notifications saying that there was a meeting, and I'm like, and then I looked at the time and I'm like, ah! And then I immediately found Megan's number and texted her, I'm on my way, I'm sorry.
Okay, did a good job of covering.
Yes, yeah, and that brings me to number two. For sure, I will not be able to make the April meeting, possibly also March, because I am doing another gallery theater production. And so we start our rehearsals in March. And so not quite sure if I am going to be able to make it for the March, but for sure not the April meeting, so I won't be able to make it to the April meeting for sure. Yeah, so
Congratulations on coming on part. Yeah, break a leg.
I don't need to break anything else.
Is the March meeting still like March 21st?
That's why I have this
Yes.
calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm out of office during spring break, which is the last week,
Okay.
just so everybody here knows.
Well, as long as it can be on a Thursday, I specifically requested my Thursday day off.
Good job.
Thursdays.
Yes.
That's
Cool, thanks. Okay.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you. I would put a shameless plug for Gallery Theater. They have a really good show going on right now called See How They Run. It is hilarious. It is so funny, and it's actually family appropriate, so, but I suggest you guys go see that. It's really good. It's a funny show. I think they're running through March. They've got like this weekend, so 3 more weekends.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
You should ask them if they'll do a production in Sheridan at the Monroe.
What Monroe? We don't have a Monroe
No, but
anymore.
there's still a stage in there, I assume. Maybe we
Yeah,
should-
but that was not big enough for anything.
Maybe when Wendell gets his amphitheater.
Yeah. We could start having some kind of like,
Shakespeare.
that's what I was gonna say, Shakespeare in the park stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I got a question.
yeah.
Mr. Omega.
Oh,
Oh,
Woo.
what did I do?
not me.
I was just wondering, would you be able to, remember when we did the surveys for the community about, you know, what people are most interested in as far as, you know, different things in the community? Do you still have that available? And the reason I'm asking Augusta from the River Access Project was wondering if she could get a copy of those. In our meeting yesterday, she,
It's on our city website.
Okay.
On the
The
parks.
results.
Yeah. But I have all the raw materials still.
okay,
Yeah, she might like to see all the comments and
Yeah.
everything. Okay, we'll get those for you.
yeah, they were trying to see, you know, just how, because they wanna know how
Oh,
to
yeah.
get people, as for these,
It's very good for
community
grants.
engagement meetings that they have scheduled.
And-
I'll send you, I'll forward an email that
And an announcement for that. Is that? I don't know
April
what that-
8th for Sheridan, it's April 8th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the high school.
Yes, so be sure that you go to that and tell everybody that you know on April 8th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
at the Sheridan High School cafeteria. There will be an open house regarding just it's public outreach and information on the River Access Project, the Yamco River Access Project. And I assume they'll have maps to show all the potential places too, which will be fun to
Yeah,
look
that's
at.
what we're trying to work on
Yeah.
now, so.
And yeah, Ernie's.
Well, she wanted to
very
incorporate, I
helpful.
mentioned it, so she said, well, that's good, because in our Sheridan groups, then, you know, we can use that as a backdrop, like, well, here's what people said in our community. So I thought it kind of tied into that.
Said
Oh,
April
and that
8th.
same one's in
April
the
8th.
meeting too,
What time?
6 to 8.
if you want.
It's
to.
a
The
Monday.
next day.
It's a Monday.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
On
planning
Sheridan
session.
High School.
Yeah, cafeteria. It's really, really important that people turn up for this too, because it will show that Sheridan is taking the in-out space. We need a better name for this, but the river access point down there, that we're taking it very seriously and that we really, really want it too, right?
We
And
should
so
call them launch points.
that's much better than an in-out, like I
Yeah.
say.
Launch points.
Launch points, yes.
Yeah.
And so, but we really need to kind of pack the house on that day and show them that we really want this.
Well, if you offer cookies and stuff, they'll come.
Yeah.
That's right, exactly. Gotta offer some stuff, you know.
Okay, so I,
Like trail free.
Okay,
Since
trail
it-
mix, there
Since
you
it's
go.
a river.
that's it,
There you
absolutely,
go.
trail mix.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, alright, yeah, Omega and I need to work on boosting that. We're just getting all that figured out in the last few days, so. The high school
Yeah,
said
there'll,
yes.
there'll be a lot more at our next meeting in March. That we'll be able to,
Tell people.
once we figure out what we want to talk about.
Okay. Right, anything else? Right, then. I say we adjourn the meeting at, what time is it? 7:30? 7:39, okay.
Okay, oh,
Great, let's go. Thank you guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Recording stopped.
Good meeting. Yeah, good meeting.
It was so funny because